outside. Saturday the wind's blowing hot from the north. We were born to ride. Roll down the window, put down the top, crank up the Beach Boys, baby. Don't let the music stop. We go ride it till we just can't ride it no more. From the side bay to the valley, from the west side to the east side, everybody very happy, 'cause the sun is shining all the time. It's like another perfect day. I love LA. We love it. Look at that mountain.
First, let me say thank you. I really appreciate it. We're going to get into some of what you're doing. Anyways, I'm just very appreciative. But I'm going to lead with this, David. All great men, this is a fact. All great men are born on October 16th. That is a fact.
You know, I have read this time and again, and I'm glad that you found out too. Yeah.
It's an exclusive club. As of right now, you and I are the only ones in it that I know.
Are you October 16th?
I am October 16th for real. Legit.
Wow, that's great. But probably 40 years after I was.
No, you look fantastic. Stop that. Yeah, stop that. So I have to say before we get into a lot of what I think you'll appreciate, I really wasn't ready for you to be on Impractical Jokers. What a pleasant surprise that was when I saw you pop on Murr's iPad. What a great moment that was.
Oh, that was fun, and I love those guys. And I'll tell you, those guys are what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't really go to movie comedies because it's just I don't think there's much on there. So I mean, they're waiting for me to do a movie. I think so.
Well, we need you. Maybe we need you and your brother. We need something because listen, I'm going to go out of order here, but like you brought this up, and you're so right. And I say this all the time. Like, I dare anybody who's listening or watching this to Google great comedies in the last 10 years. The last one that I could think of was The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. That was really fun. But that was 2010.
That was 2010. And here, this wasn't a comedy. It's not in that category, but it made me laugh at The Holdovers. For some reason, I thought that was, it was a beautiful story. And, the first 20 minutes, I was going, what's going on here? I don't know if I almost left, but it turned out to be great. And I just really got to hand it to him. And I love the main actor is so good.
Paul Giamatti is so yeah.
But this is not in the category of zany, of crazy comedy.
Yeah.
So, but everybody's go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of zany comedies, so how is Top Secret is so underrated, such a funny movie. How was Val Kilmer? Was he didn't seem to lack confidence from the outside. Terrific movie, terrific actor. What's your take on Val, David?
Well, it's interesting about Val. I think other directors have had problems with him. And for us, it was his first movie. And he was just green right out of Juilliard and, a real trained actor. And he was a bit moody, we thought, until, and we couldn't figure out why was it his personality. But we after years passed, we really couldn't blame it on him because in Top Secret, it's possibly the funniest movie we've made. But
I love it.
But the problem with it was, as a movie, is that we didn't give Val a character. And that turns out, we learned, I haven't learned anything from the successes, but I've learned from the mistakes. So, that you need to have a character in the first act who has a problem. And it can't be just a hardware problem. It's got to be an interior, intrinsic, emotional problem, and which he solves in the third act. So, we just learned from doing 40 movies or whatever. Yeah.
I have to say, David, my late father would have agreed with what I'm about to tell you. I'm not saying this. I don't invite people on my podcast because I'm less than honest with them. So I have to be honest with everybody on my show. The Naked Gun is the trilogy, my favorite comedies. You could put Airplane in there too, Top Secret, my favorite comedies in the history of cinema. Like I have those on DVD because I don't trust electric and what people can do with digital stuff.
Yeah.
But like I've blown through VHS tapes, wore them out. They are the greatest comedies, David, ever. And people are going to say, oh, he's buttering them up. I'm being genuine. Hook me up to a lie detector. They are the greatest comedies ever. Period.
Well, I guess I'm on the right podcast then.
You are on the right podcast.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
I mean, thank you, and I'm glad you appreciate it. And I love my whole resume. Really, I'm very happy, and that I haven't put my name on anything that for money, and I believed in anything that my name is on, so it's nice.
Yeah. Two things I have a question about your process. First of all, the casting choices you've made, your brother, and absolutely the late great Jim Abrams was phenomenal. Barbara Billingsley speaking jive, John Houseman, who's a legend, teaching his student driver to extend her middle finger. These are top shelf actors. Never mind. And there's three others I want to get into, but just those two, David. Come on, that is an insane choice that just works like magic. I don't know how you do it.
Casting is part of the director's job, and it's half the battle, because if you have the right cast, it's the rest is easier. Not easy, but it's easier. So for the lady who teaches these black guys how to speak jive, it's the whitest lady on the planet, June Cleaver. And of course, and you just said it, John Houseman, he is from The Paper Chase, he is the professor and authoritative, personality. So he was great for that. So, and all these people are available. People always ask me, how did you get so-and-so or so-and-so? And, everybody wants to be in a movie. So
yeah, and we're going to get to this in a second, but that's what I'm saying is you're creative, you're inventive. Nobody's thinking of casting those two in those types of roles. Maybe I'll just wait for you to make a movie and just copy it and make it years later. But we'll get to that in a second.
Sure.
I want to ask you this. Reggie Jackson, interesting choice. George Kennedy was a Hollywood badass before he becomes Ed, who's just unbelievable. Again, an unbelievable choice. And the one I want to ask you about was Kareem in Airplane. That was very close to being Pete Rose. Well, I mean, this is not new stuff. I mean, this has been circulated. But anything you wanted to say on those three people that I just mentioned?
Well, I think there is a God, and we've always been steered to the right decision, not necessarily from our own smarts, but Pete Rose would have been good.
Yeah.
But nothing like Kareem. And Pete Rose that's who we thought of, because we were big baseball fans. But he was unavailable because we shot it during the summer. Right. So it was and he was actually actively either managing playing on the Reds. Yeah. Yeah. On Cincinnati. So our next choice was Kareem, and we wrote much more dialogue. With Pete Rose in the early scripts, we didn't have all that banter back and forth about, this or that, because I don't think at that point Pete Rose was not controversial.
Right.
And so we kind of ginned up some controversy, in Kareem, which was real because he had this reputation of being this kind of surly, humorless guy.
Right.
And oh my God, he loved it. I mean, he's not demonstrative on the set. He's that very quiet, introspective guy that you would imagine, and not real animated. But we've seen him a few times since, and in interviews, and in the book, we wrote a book about the whole Airplane experience called "Surely You Can't Be Serious."
Yeah, we're gonna get to that too.
Okay.
Yeah,
and he goes on quite extensively about how it changed his image.
Yeah. He's terrific. He's absolutely terrific.
Yeah.
So when I talked about earlier about this being the best comedy, and my father and I just enjoying these movies over the years, and me now just repeatedly watching them over and over again, I got to ask you about the writing. How do you do it? Like, it's not like I watch a movie now. If I laugh 3 times, I consider it a success. Like when I leave A Naked Gun, I have that belly laugh where I feel like I've been beaten up and my face hurts from laughing. I haven't felt that way in a long time. But the jokes, the writing, the material, it's like when my wife and I are searching for a place to eat, all the time on my mouth is, I know a little out of the way place that serves great Viking food. Like I say it all the time. So David,
throwaway stuff. So what's your question?
My question is the writing. How the hell do you guys write all this material and make it successful over and over and over again? I mean, that's hard.
Well, it's it's deep within us since high school.
Yeah.
Well, for me, since grade school, I used to write comic books in 4th grade that the kids read, and we were all, I think, to some extent, class clowns, and but in our high school there were probably 5 or 6 guys who were funnier than we were, but they were able to find jobs after high school and college, and we kind of pursued this and started a theater with with Jim and Jerry, and it was on the campus in Madison, Wisconsin.
Right.
And we developed it, and we think funny. We just, if you get used to it, and then we evolved rules, and then, but really the answer to your question is we didn't think that so much comedians like Jerry Lewis were that funny, but we thought serious movies and serious B movies made us laugh because we would dub in the voices. And so when we saw 0 Hour, I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's what Airplane is based on. Our first idea was to redub it, but then the big leap for us was, wait a minute, why don't we just remake this thing? And with the serious actors, same style acting there was in this movie, and we just put in the jokes. So it was, to answer your question, it just came naturally to us to make these jokes because we're kind of a little bit anarchists at heart. And I suppose Woody Allen is like that, or was like that, and the Marx Brothers, and they were all, that's how they thought, that's how they lived their life. So for me, I mean, comedy, it's not a 9-to-5 job. I'm always thinking of jokes and fun. Even when I go to restaurants, I interact with people at other tables. Right. Mainly to sell books. I give them bookmarks. But
that's great. That's great. It's funny to hear you talk like this, but I wanted to ask you. I keep thinking about your Holdovers remark, and now that I'm thinking about the Holdovers, that was a funny movie. I mean, there's parts of it that are very serious, but now I'm thinking, hear you say this, it really is a funny movie.
Yeah, and I can't remember now why I laughed or what the jokes were. It wasn't like anybody slipped on a banana peel, but it was something about it really made me laugh. And so, that and the Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
And those are the things that make me laugh. And of course, South Park. So, because those guys are funny and they're original. They're not, I admire those guys because they're not trying to copy anyone else.
Right. No, I like that. I wanted to ask you about this. This is more of your opinion. Then I want to hop into The Naked Gun, the movie that's in the theaters now. The Pink Panther is now being redone a 3rd time. It was done twice with Steve Martin. Now Eddie Murphy is going to play Clouseau, and I think this is very appropriate for what we're about to jump into. I don't know. Did Peter Sellers not master that? Was that not like a master class, which we're going to get to? Like, wasn't Peter Sellers enough? What is it? Arrogance that makes us want to top this? Like, I'm good with what Peter Sellers did. Like, there's nobody that can beat it. So how about doing something original? That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
You're preaching to the choir. I totally 100% agree with that. I mean, you can't replace Peter Sellers, and why try? Why not just think of a new idea? When we set out to do our version of The Naked Gun, which we wrote in 2018. I wrote it with Pat Proft, who's my longtime writing partner ever since the 70s. We didn't want to go back to the old LA cop station thing that we did in Police Squad. This is back in 1982. It's 45 years ago, for heaven's sake. I mean, it's and we wanted to do something new. I always wanted to do something new, and so does Pat and Mike McManus, our other co-writers. So we just totally changed it up, and we had it's a young guy who is a bumbling guy, of course, but he gets into a international spy thriller adventure like Born Identity, Bond, or Mission Impossible. So
Right.
it's the Naked Gun humor, but we're not with blinders on trying to replace Leslie and George and OJ. You know, it's just those are copies, and I don't think that these people have the ability to think of anything new. That's all I can think of. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, David, what makes Leslie? What made him specifically just in the role of Frank Drebin? What makes him the Peter Sellers of? I mean, just that nobody else could even touch it. Like these guys, his Leslie's performance is out of this world. Like out of this world.
Out of this world. And you think of what he added to it. You know, all we needed was the guy to say the lines and to have the gravitas of a Robert Stack or Peter Graves, and Leslie had that, and he was also able to. Leslie knew where the joke was too. So, do you remember there was a scene where he shoots his own car, and the I think the gas tank blows up, and it runs over a fire hydrant. And you watch on Leslie's face, he gradually realizes what happened. And that's the really amazing thing about that sequence.
Yeah.
And you can see it, the audience can read it on his face, and he's able to communicate that. Plus, Leslie's a closet clown. And, you know, on the set of Naked Gun, he would have this fart machine. I mean, he became famous for that. And used it on every talk show that he was on, because Leslie himself didn't write the jokes. You know, it's interesting when he died, lots of obituaries, and they kept quoting one line after another, but like a midget at a urinal, I had to stay on my toes. and all those lines were written by Pat Proft.
Wow.
So but we had a good team, and we had, you know, for Airplane and Top Secret, you know, we had Jim and Jerry, and this was like all stars. For the first Naked Gun, we had all four of us with Pat Proft, and it was an all-star team. You know, when I think we had Jim Abrams, and we had Jerry Zucker, you know, it was great when we were together. But you know, none of these things can stay together forever. So.
Even Priscilla Presley, unbelievable. Like I still she was just. I remember seeing her when I was a kid. I was like, I'm in love. Like, and I think I'm in love all these years later. She's so wonderful in that role.
She's wonderful, and that's who she is. She's the girl next door. And you think of what she was through. I mean, she was with the King, and she was in that rock and roll thing, and you figure what must have gone on. But to know her personally, it's just she's just the girl next door. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I heard that she has a cameo in the new one.
So yeah, let me get there. So you know, I have to say, you know, listen, Liam Neeson is an Academy Award winning actor. He is phenomenal.
Yes.
But I'm watching. We saw the movie, my wife and I, a couple days ago, and I'm watching it, and I'm waiting for that Leslie Nielsen, like that cadence he has, that rhythm, the stuff you're talking about in the car scene where the car, you know, it's he's shooting at the car. I just didn't see it. I love the idea of Frank Drebin having a son. I love what you were saying earlier about what you wanted to do.
Yeah, but a 30-something-year-old son, not
correct.
a 72-year-old.
So I guess that's my point. Like, this is not. I just didn't. The writing isn't bad, but it's not. I'm never believing. I'm not buying Paul Hauser as Ed. I'm not buying like it's just not Liam's thing. And I'm nobody from nowhere. But that's what, as a moviegoer, that's what I took away. I don't know. I mean,
well, going back to kind of what I said a few minutes ago, they're trying to duplicate something. It's not original. So they're trying to duplicate. So already Liam is put in the box of, is he as good as Leslie, or is he as funny? You know, it's a tough position to put an actor in. Here's the other thing. When we didn't cast Oscar quality actors. You know, Liam he was in Schindler's List. He was like, wasn't he at least nominated
He
for
was
something?
nominated, yes.
Yeah. And we always use B movie actors or TV actors. I don't know that Robert Stack was ever nominated for anything, or Peter Graves, these guys, or Lloyd Bridges, these guys. And I don't want to denigrate them at all, but they were wonderful in these spoofs that we did, because we didn't try to go for the platinum gold standard. We always spoof B movies. We didn't spoof Schindler's List. You can't. It's like, or it's hard to spoof The Godfather even. I mean, you can spoof a million gangster movies. Other than that, but really, really fine actors and really fine movies, I don't think that's good material for spoof.
David, I don't understand why they would even do this. Like, why not just come up? Like, is it a cash grab? Is it arrogance? Is it lack of originality? Like, I walked out with my wife. I'm like, it's not like a horrible movie, but it was like an unnecessary movie. Like,
This is what happened. Pat and I had and Mike McManus had the idea to do another Naked Gun,
right,
back in 2018. And so we spent a year working on a script on spec. Nobody paid us. We just did it because we loved it. And we came up with a great movie. We went into Paramount. They loved the script. I mean, until they didn't.
right.
And what happened was that Seth MacFarlane already has kind of this deal with Paramount. He does the Ted movies. He does the Family Guy series. He's done other things. So he was already in there, and he did something with Liam, and he became buddies with Liam. And Seth so idolizes the Naked Guns, Airplane, Top Secret, etc., that he wanted to do one of these. So he's not an evil guy, but what I kind of said is that it's one thing to be a fan of these movies, but the guy at my dry cleaners is a fan, but he can't do a Naked Gun.
Right.
So they just don't know how to do it, and they don't know the rules. And besides, we're not completely crazy guys. We're not wild-eyed, brainless, crazies. There's a discipline behind it. So we evolved these 15 rules of comedy. There's a certain way to do spoof, and nobody realized. The people look at it, they just see nice beaver. Oh, that's great. This is easy to do. And it's not. So, and it takes writing, casting, character, all this stuff. So that's what's in my course that I'm offering now.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that too. I have one quick thing before we hop into that. So is there anything that is sacred anymore? Like, are we gonna like remake Shawshank next? Are we gonna do Animal House? Is Airplane next on the horizon? Like, I guess.
I hope not. I hope not. I mean,
what's sacred? Nothing's sacred anymore.
Well,
David.
It's not a matter of being sacred. It's just, this is after I explain what happened with Naked Gun, I just say, that's Hollywood, because I'm not bitter about it. I have a very nice life, but we had a great script, as I said, and we've renamed it. We've rewritten it to be not Frank Drebin and Police Squad. It's called Counterintelligence, spelled with one L and a J, and we're circulating that around now. And ironically, with the at least moderate success of this Naked Gun, maybe studios will say, well, wait a minute, maybe comedy can exist in theaters, and you can do it if they're willing to take a chance on an old guy. But there's such ageism in Hollywood. I mean, it's like, after, I think the director of this Naked Gun, Akiva Schaffer, was a very nice kid. He's 47, so he's made it. He's under 50, so he won't be aged out until he's got 3 more years left in Hollywood.
Yeah. Were you ready? This is unrelated. Well, kind of. Were you ready for Enrico Palazzo to be a household name?
No, who knows about this stuff? Just there's some jokes where you think they're going to be great, and it gets crickets, and other things where you don't think it's going to be funny, like when that overweight lady falls off the third deck at Dodger Stadium. That was a big laugh, and we didn't think that would be a laugh. And then Enrico Palazzo, well, that's, we put that in the script, but just somehow that caught on. There's T-shirts, and which is great. There these moments from Naked Gun, which became iconic, which I love that. But
Yeah.
I don't want to harp on old stuff. I've got new stuff. I've also got another script. They probably told you about that. It's a film noir, which is a very low budget movie, and another fresh idea.
Yeah. So you do have new stuff, and we're going to start with you're doing screenings with Robert Hayes, correct? There's 2 of them coming up. So
Yeah.
I wish you had one on the East Coast. I absolutely would. I feel like you'd be great at a Comic-Con where people could meet and greet you. Then at night.
I think that's in the plan.
Yeah.
Since these screenings are doing so well, they're selling out. Or they're selling very well, and so we have one in Seattle and one in Denver.
Yeah.
So, and Bob Hayes is going to be with me, and we've maintained our friendship for all these years.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so Chevy Chase does something like this, but he always seems like he never wants to be there. When I talk to you, you are gushing. You are so happy. I'd want to be a part of that. If we're going to a Comic-Con this weekend, if I knew that you were going to be there, I absolutely would stay for the night and watch that movie or any movie with you or one of the actors. It would be great.
I probably will do. I haven't been invited. I mean, nobody suggested it, so maybe
That's insane.
Yeah, but my son went because he wants to be in the business, and so they had one in San Diego just last week.
Oh,
and
big one! Yeah, big
he
one.
He went with a few friends, and he had and Matt Stone and Trey Parker were there.
Yep.
And in fact, I'm going to be working with Stone and Parker on a new version of basketball.
Oh, very cool.
I don't think they put that in the information, but this is, we're not, it hasn't been announced yet, but we're working on a television reality game show of basketball, and there'll be 10 teams throughout the country representing different cities, and we're really going to play it for real.
Oh.
But of course, it's going to be a comedy because in that the defense is trash talking. So this with the psychos.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier the course you were talking about, the Master Crash, a crash course in spoof comedy. So, David, you said there's 15 total things that
we have 15 rules, and so they're mainly things not to do.
Gotcha. So, David, would you share with one thing that is in that list that you're very high on as far as just don't do this?
Oh, well, there's joke on a joke. Don't do a joke in the foreground and a joke in the background. One of them has to be straight. And, and I give examples. And the example is, well, you take Airplane. Leslie Nielsen and Julie Haggerty, Leslie explaining to Julie how serious the symptoms of this food poisoning is. And in the foreground, Peter Graves is the comic, really.
Yeah,
he's drooling and farting and all that stuff. and there's from other movies. Do you remember a movie named Harold and Maude?
Yes. She was an older woman.
Yeah. It was from the 70s or the 60s even. It may have been from the 60s, but I remember there was a thing where Ruth Gordon was in the foreground talking to some lady inside a house, and out the window you see Bud Cort lighting himself on fire. And we're going to show those in the thing. The other one of the other rules, if I can remember some of them, are merely clever. You can't just do a reference to an old movie. You have to do a joke.
Right.
You can't just be merely clever, and some of the rules kind of bleed into each other, like knocking down the posts in Airplane. The girl's running along the plane, and there's the posts from a train station.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the laugh. We thought everybody would laugh because, oh look, they're doing this old movie Since You Went Away, but when she starts knocking down the posts, then people laughed.
You know, David, these rules, if I was a filmmaker and I was a comedic filmmaker, I'd want to know these. I'd want to be familiar with this. Let me ask you, so what is a big reason why we are in such a slump with movies that just aren't funny anymore? What's your take?
I think the craft has kind of been lost. I don't want to seem like the old guy saying these.
You are not. No.
But there is a craft to it, and there's a craft to comedy that you just have to know. And it's not only jokes. I mean, the 15 rules more pertain to jokes, but there's so much more that goes into it. There's character. And, Top Secret was very successful as a joke book, but not so much when it was released as a movie. And it would have been so easy for us to make it successful, but we didn't. We just, Val Kilmer is in a train car with his manager, and there should have been some problem, he said, which he could have solved in the third act. Would have been just so easy. But these are the tricks, and they're secrets because people don't know them. And you still see movies where they don't pay attention to character. I mean, there's no discipline to it. And that's what Jim Abrams would always say to me. The important thing that we have is discipline in this. Even though everything's crazy, we have shit hitting the fan and all sorts of jokes. But there's a discipline to it, and you have to have something that the audience takes seriously. And this isn't even in the first 15 rules. That'll be as we keep going on the course, and anybody can figure this out. I mean, anybody can learn this. I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll put that link in the bio when I put the video out.
Yeah.
Earlier, you were talking about Kareem. You mentioned the book that you had written, which I want you to talk about. Just talk a little about your book, Surely You Can't Be, off the top of my head, Surely You Can't Be Serious, the true story of Airplane.
Yeah.
Just talk a little about that. And you mentioned Kareem earlier in the book. Anything you wanted to say about that, David? I'm dying to hear that.
Well, the book is actually, it's about making it in show business, really. And it's very inspiring. And not because we were so great, but because we were just regular guys, really. I mean, we were funny, but we were pretty normal guys from Milwaukee who had this idea, started a theater, and we never gave up. And, there are little things about us that, like, we were headstrong, and we never thought that we would fail. And we always thought we had the goods. When people said, well, you went out to LA, what was your plan if you didn't make it? And that was a surprise question to us. We never thought we wouldn't make it.
Right.
So, because I think after our experience with the Madison Kentucky Fried Theater was that, audiences laughed for 90 minutes straight, and it never let up. People would complain that their jaws hurt. I mean, they didn't complain, but same thing the only thing that was a surprise to us was that it took so long for us to do a movie. So we were doing Kentucky Fried Movie in L.A. for 5 years before we were able to do Kentucky Fried Movie. And
You speaking of movies, you have your newest film, Star of Malta. Is that in pre-production? Is that in production?
We're in pre-production. We have a little more money to raise. And we started casting. We're looking for the leading man, but who's not a comedian again, but also not a stiff like Leslie or Stack. It's not the same thing. This is a guy who would have been Joel McRae in a film noir in a movie from 45 to 55. And we had a 0 hour for this movie. We found this movie called Detour, which is, I'm told, a noir classic. But of course it didn't have a third act, maybe because they ran out of money. So we watched about 20 of these movies, and we used 10 to make a plot, and it's amazing. This is like, for me, it's one step up from the Naked Gun spoof style.
Yeah. David, I'll end with this. Thank you so much for all this time. It's such a great thing to be able to talk to one of my all-time favorite directors. So let me ask you this. Had they approached you, because like if I was a studio, I'm like, why wouldn't I bring in you or your brother? Like just bring in these minds that see things outside the box. So I guess piggybacking off that, If they asked you on the newest Naked Gun, hey, David, we need your input. Come aboard. We'll take any advisement you say. Well, if you want to change the leading man to somebody that's a little bit, would you have gone with them had they, let you have?
In a second, but they had already, the die was cast. Seth
Right.
came in, and his idea, and this guy is a multi-billionaire success. He can print money, this guy. And I've never met him, but he came in, he said, I've got Liam Neeson. It's like I said, this is Hollywood with a capital HOL, everything. It's Hollywood. And so he came in and he had two young writers, write the script, and the studio, this is, it's like are you a fan of The Godfather?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, when Tessio is found out to be the traitor, Michael Corleone says it was a smart move. So so I'm trying to be philosophical about this.
Yeah.
And I try not to take things personally, but if you think about big Hollywood, and Seth's a big Hollywood guy, this is the smart move by Paramount to go with Seth MacFarlane. However, Hollywood goes on, they just go on algorithms and instruments. My analogy is a pilot of an airliner who's only reading the instruments and doesn't look out the window, doesn't see the mountain in front of him.
Right,
So
right.
that's what they do. That's what Hollywood does. And so no executive can get fired by going with Liam and Seth.
Yeah. You're right. But I feel spoiled by what you did, because when I was watching the newest one, I'm like, it's like my favorite food, but the 4 best ingredients are not there, and it doesn't taste like the same food anymore, and it's something completely different. It's called The Naked Gun, but it's not The Naked Gun. It isn't. So.
And I think you mentioned why make this movie. There's no reason.
No reason.
I didn't even want to make the third Naked Gun. As Pete Siegel, who's a great director, directed the third one. And I was writing another script with my co-writers, in the trailer during the shooting. But I can do, and I did 2 scary movies. I directed 2 scary movies. And
Right. Yeah.
The third one, I didn't want to do it. I'm done. I want to do something new.
Well, you're doing a lot. And is there anything that I didn't bring up that you wanted to share? Because I tried to get everything in there, because I believe in what you do so much. I want to make sure it's all out there.
So people can go to mastercrash.com. I'm also doing a movie for the German market, which is being financed by Amazon, and it's called Oktoberfest. That's the working title, and it's not a spoof, but it's a straight ahead comedy. And so we're working with these German producers, and all I can say is no man is a prophet in his own country. So.
David, thank you for the past, and I'm very much looking forward to the future.
Yeah,
thank you for this. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.